So I purchased this Nintendo 64 from Facebook Marketplace. It came with a controller, all the cables, Tony Hawk's, GoldenEye and some other sporting game. Now it's not in the best condition. It needs some love there. You can see it's chipped away at the front, as well as the memory pack cover missing and that little port cover on the bottom too. But I got it for a decent price. Got it for 100 Australian dollars, which is about 70 US dollars. It was described as working, however, I got stitched up because it actually doesn't work. Let me show you. To have the power cable in, everything's turned on at the mains. I'll show you, just switch on the switch and we get nothing. So, first thing I'm going to do is test the power supply, see if it's a PSU issue. The PSU is this female adapter. What I'm going to need to do is I'm going to pop these little nails into the holes so then I can use my multimeter leads just to see if there's any voltage coming out at all from this PSU here. What's handy with these N64 power supplies is that the pinout is actually on the top of the unit itself. So this should be reading 3.3 volts or thereabouts. Right, I'm getting nothing on that one. Try the next one, that should be reading 3.3 as well. Nothing, and that should be 12. Nothing. So we're getting nothing from this power supply. Okay, so it might be a power supply issue then. Let's crack it open, take a look inside, and maybe we can find out what the issue is. To open the N64 power supply, I'm using this 4.5 security bit. It only has 2 screws, one either side, and then I should be able to crack it open. There we are, it's pretty easy. Now I was just trying to get the board out. Give it a little wiggle. I think it's just that cable relief. There we go. Yep, that was super simple. Right, so let's take a look at the board now. See if there's anything obvious. Nothing really standing out to me at the moment. It looks pretty clean. No obvious problems. So let me just quickly take you through what I think is happening in the switch mode power supply. So obviously the power comes in through these wires here. It goes through the fuse, then it goes through these capacitors and inductor, which helps smooth out the current and keeps the output constant. Then we have a rectifier that transforms AC to DC. Then we have this large filter capacitor. And we have a board on the side here. Now, I'm not sure what it does just yet. It's a bit dark. You know, I'm going to get a torch and then we can have a better look at that. Alright, so I see that sideboard there a lot better. And I think it communicates between both sides of the board here, the high voltage side and the low voltage side. Alright, I'll talk a bit more on that a bit later. But first I want to point out the transformer here that transforms it from the high voltage to the lower voltage that we need for the N64. Then we look at that board. We have 2 octocouplers here, I believe, and they communicate between the high voltage side and the low voltage side. So this board, as far as I'm aware, it probably helps communicate between the 2 sides, the high voltage side there and the low voltage side here. Then we have a bunch of other capacitors to help filter the output, and then obviously it goes into the N64. So that's my very, very basic understanding of what's happening on this board. And I'm going to start firstly just by testing that fuse. So that's probably the most obvious place to start. See if the fuse is blown. That would have been nice and easy if that was the case. And no, the fuse is fine. So the next thing we can test is that rectifier. So the rectifier converts AC into DC. It's an arrangement of, I believe, 4 diodes. You have a positive and a negative there. And the bottom pins are AC pins. Now I put my negative probe on the positive and my positive on the AC pins, and they should show a reading, so that's good. And if I put my positive probe on the negative pin, it also should show a reading as well. And nothing's coming up. Could it be a bridge rectifier issue? Hold on, it's not giving me a reading there. Oh, there we go. No, it is coming through. So, all right, so that seems to be working on that side. Let's put my negative lead on the negative, and I shouldn't get any reading if I touch my positive probe to these other pins. Nope. I put my positive probe on the negative, and I should get a reading, as I am. Brilliant. Okay, so that bridge rectifier seems to be working. So I did a bit of research, and I found out there are actually more than one fuse. I'll just get the board in focus there. Can you spot the additional fuses? Well, there is two just here. So these two white things, they are fuses as well. There, of course, that's the original fuse that we tested. We know that's working. But then we have another one here. Let's see if I can get a better view for you. See that there? That's a fuse. So that thing attached to that kind of heat sink, that metal plate, that's actually a fuse. Right, so let's test those fuses. Maybe it's one of those that has gone. So I'm going to start with the white ones. Two white ones there. Let's see where they lead. Nope, that's good. And that one's good too. Okay, so those fuses seem good. Let me just test them from above as well. Make sure yeah, that's fine. And that's fine. Let's see where that leads. Yeah, this I had no idea was a fuse. I would never have figured that one out. So I'm glad I did look into it. Let's try and get my leads into there, onto the legs. Yeah, that fuse seems to be fine. I'll just test it from the underside too. Nothing there. Okay, maybe I didn't do it properly. So hold on, am I hitting the right solder joints? There we go. Okay. That's definitely it. Yeah. Okay, so that fuse seems to be fine. So our fuses check out. Next thing I want to do is I want to check this capacitor here. So I'm going to stand back a bit. I'm going to turn the power on and stay well away from the board. Then I'm going to, so that's on now. I'm going to wait for a second, let the capacitor charge. Alright, turning it off now. And now let's see if we have a voltage across that capacitor. So that capacitor is rated for about, I think about 400 volts. And it's quite a hefty one. So I don't want to go near it when the power is on. But I do want to check that we have a voltage across there. So we should have a decreasing voltage. Yeah, there we go, 140, 130, and it's going down. So obviously we're getting voltage at least into that capacitor, into the board. Let's give it another check. Voltage should be quite low now. There we go, about 20 volts. Alright, so that's confirmed that we're getting some power into the board. It's obviously going to the capacitor at least. So now I want to test some of these components on this sideboard, particularly the octocouplers. So remember, these octocouplers are these things here, these chips. And what they do is they isolate one side of the board from the other, which is so they isolate the high power side from the low power side. And they have a diode in them. So two of the pins in the octocoupler act as a diode, essentially. So I've checked the specifications of these two octocouplers. I know which side the diode is at, and I know which way round it is. So now I'm just going to put it into my multimeter into diode mode and just check that those diodes are also functioning okay. It's going to be a bit difficult to do this. Let me find a good position. If I turn the board around a little bit. So we have a reading there, and if I switch it around, oh, this is very awkward. Nothing. Okay, let's try the second octocoupler. We have a reading there. And we have a reading there. Okay, I don't understand that. Because it's a diode, it should only read one way around, like this one here. There, like that. See, there's no connection there. I wonder if it's a problem with the octocoupler, or maybe because it's in circuit, it's giving me some weird readings. Because it's in circuit, it might be giving me some strange readings, or it could be broken. I think I'm just going to have to take that sideboard off. I'll desolder it and have a closer look at that and some other bits and pieces on that board, just to see if there's anything there that might be causing the issue here. Because it kind of makes sense. We're not getting any voltage on the output. So if there was something wrong on that board, that communicates between the high voltage side and the low voltage side. So it could be there's something wrong on that board that's preventing it from communicating between the two halves, hence the no output. Okay, so that sideboard is held in by a number of different pins. It shouldn't be too hard to get off, hopefully. I'm going to add a bit of flux to that, and that'll help the solder flow. It also helped me when I come to wick it. So I'm going to use some solder wick to get that off, and the flux is going to help a lot to extract that solder and remove the board. I think that should do it. Let's try and get that out now. Some of those pins are a bit bent around, so I can pry them straight. Need something maybe a bit thinner there. There we go. Yeah, I can get under them now. Perfect. Okay, still not coming, so I'm just going to use a bit more solder wick. Probably just a tiny trace of solder left that's holding that on. Okay, let's give it one more try. Come on. Yes. Success. Okay, that's a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. Okay, now we've got that board out. Let's do some testing. So the next part, I'm just going to fast forward because it's basically me just probing around with the multimeter, trying to find anything that looks a bit wrong. And after about 15-20 minutes of doing this, I come across something suspicious, which I'm about to show you right now. So I think I might have found the problem. Let me grab the board for you and get that a bit closer, just to show you what I think the issue is. Now, something to mention that will become important a bit later. Now, these resistors were covered in a grey adhesive material when I first opened the power supply that I had to pick off. That's a detail that will become important a bit later on. This top one, the 220 ohm resistor, that leads down this track, ending in this pin. The bottom one, the 1.5K resistor, goes down this track and ends in this pin. And I think the bottom resistor is actually faulty. So let me show you what I mean. So I'm just going to do a multimeter test for resistance on the top resistor here. Just making sure I got it on the right setting. Yeah, that's fine. So there we go, 220 ohm, dead on. So that's fine. Doesn't seem to be a problem with that one. Now let me show you the resistor just below. So it should be fine on that setting too. Remember, this is 1.5K. And I get nothing. So let's just turn the dial. Still nothing. The next setting up. Still nothing. So we're going into the mega ohms now. And then we go to the 200 mega ohm setting. And finally, we get a reading of 10.5 mega ohms. Clearly that resistor is broken, and I do believe it's because of that adhesive covering. What I think has happened is that when resistors, when they do their thing, they resist current, they generate heat, and that adhesive that was covering it has prevented it from dissipating heat effectively. And what I think has happened is perhaps it's got too hot and it's broken. In fact, there is a video over on the My Mate Vince YouTube channel, and he had pretty much exactly the same issue, except it affected the top resistor, the 220 ohm resistor, and he had to replace that one to get the power supply to work. With me, it's affecting the 1.5K resistor. So I've ordered in some new 1.5K resistors from AliExpress. They're a tiny bit larger than the original ones, but they should be fine. First, let's remove the original broken resistor there. Try not to knock over the camera. Put one leg off. I think it just needs a little bit more. There we go. And that's off. And I think these pads need a little bit more solder, so I'm just going to add a touch more solder. and on goes the new one. Now, if this looks amateurish, that's because it is. This is my first time actually putting on a surface mounted component so small. I've never done it before. So I am a beginner, complete beginner to this. I think I've got it there. I think I've got one leg. Yes. Okay. Just do the other side. Excellent. Oh. All right. Well, that's the second leg down. Let's make sure the first one is on okay. I think that's on, you know. I think that might have done it. Right, let's take a closer look at that. It's definitely wonky donkey. I mean, that is not straight whatsoever. But that might do it, you know. I mean, it is a larger resistor too. But I think that's making contact there. Yep, that looks like it's on pretty good. Alright, I'm going to leave it like that. I could try to straighten it out a bit, but I think I'll probably make things worse. Let's do some tests just to make sure that it is okay. Right, I'm just going to run a quick few tests just to make sure it is attached okay. So let's see if we're getting a resistance value, 1.5k. Perfect. There we go. And from end to end of the resistor, that's fine. Yeah, very happy with that. Let's see if it's going into the other pin. See if it's like shorted or something to the other resistor. No. Good. Okay, let's check the other resistor, see if that's the top one, see if that's shorted to the second pin. No, it hasn't. Good. And that still remains, that should be about 220. Excellent. So that's still fine. You just put it on continuity mode now and make sure there's no short. Just double check there's no short between those two resistors there. And I'm just being extra paranoid because if there is a short or something like that, because this is a power supply, you could see some fireworks. So I want to make sure that doesn't happen. Yeah, there's nothing coming up. Great. So now the next part is, of course, putting it all together again, assuming that now I've replaced the resistor. That was the only problem and there's nothing else wrong with it. I'm going to fast forward this part because you probably don't need to see it. You see me take it apart. It's the same thing when putting it back together. The only thing I will mention in case you are looking to fix an N64 PSU is that it can be quite difficult getting the pins back in. As you can see, I bent quite a few of them trying to kind of jam it in there. Part of the problem is that there's a metal shield and it's hard to see where the holes, where the pins go in, so you can't line them up properly. So one thing I found that actually helps you line those pins up before you slot them in is you turn the board over, as you can see I'm doing here, and line them up along the bottom of the board. And then once you have them all in line, you of course flip the board around and it should slot in fairly easily. At least it did for me when I did it that way. After it was slotted in, I obviously soldered all of the joints. I checked to make sure there was no bridging, to check there was no shorts. And then I popped the case on and then I got it ready to test, which I'm going to show you now. So here we are, it's the moment of truth. I'm standing back from the power supply just in case it does blow up. And I've got the switch ready, haven't switched it on just yet, I'm just about to do that. Okay, it's on. No explosions yet, which is great. No smoke. Can't smell any burning smells or anything like that. So I think it's all good so far. Okay, now I've put the pins in the power supply sockets. The power supply is on. And if you remember before, we were getting nothing from this power supply. Let's see. How brilliant. Yeah, 3.5, which is what it should be. Next one should be 3.5. Excellent. And the next one should be 12. 11. Well, it's close enough. Brilliant. Success. I think that's working. All right, let's test it on the N64. See if it boots up now. Here we go. We have the red light, so it's powering on now. So nothing's showing up. That is definitely plugged into the back. Yep. Make sure it's on the right source. Yeah, AV. Try that one. No. It's definitely AV. Right, so it's not just a power issue then. There's clearly something else wrong with this N64. Let's try the reset. Oh, well, that's a shame. Let's open up the N64 and then take a look inside, see if we can see what the issue is. So we're getting power now, but our N64 still isn't working. So I'm going to open it up, try to see what the problem is. We have a few security bits at the bottom. I'm going to be using a 4.5 security bit to open it. I think that should just about do it. There we go. So it opens up easy enough. What do we have here? Looks like Phillips, mostly Phillips. Before opening it up any further, I just want to inspect the pins on the cartridge slot and also the jump pack. So I can't see anything obviously corroded. Could use a clean though. So these pins look okay. Alright, I'll just clean them anyway using isopropyl alcohol and a toothbrush. So, not a good sign. Someone's opened this N64 up before and tried to fix it because some of these Phillips screw heads are almost stripped bare. So I think someone's tried to open this before. Also, look where the video and audio out is. Can you notice? It doesn't look too clean, does it? I wonder if that could be the issue there. that we're not getting a signal, because that looks pretty dirty and oxidized. So maybe I need to clean that. So I'll definitely be cleaning that too. But I'll take everything out anyway and then give it all a good clean. Okay, this screw doesn't want to come out, so I'm going to use the old rubber glove trick. So if you've got a screw that is pretty much stripped, just lay down a rubber glove like this, put your Phillips in there, and hopefully with a bit of pressure you'll be able to loosen it just enough. I think I got it there. Great. So it doesn't always work, but it's quite a good little trick for getting those stubborn screws out that have been pretty much stripped like that one had. Okay, these jump pack screws, they're also pretty much stripped as well. These are the last two I think I have to get out. So let's get my rubber glove again. Is it going to work this time as well? I think I got it. I think I heard it give. Yes. Okay, our last one. That one's pretty badly stripped too. Who wants to bet? That's the last one, right? Who wants to bet that this doesn't work? Always the last one, you get the problems. Right, let's give it a go. Can't see where the head is. Try it again. I'll just use a finger so I can better see where the head is there. Ah, I knew it. I knew the last one was going to give me trouble. Okay, I think I can get this metal shielding out there. Perfect. Excellent. Okay, I can get the metal shielding out from there. We can see the board, but that's still not coming off. That screw is holding that little bit down there. So, how are we going to get that off? We have to remove that screw somehow. So I got myself a pair of cutting pliers, managed to cut the remaining shielding off, but unfortunately the screw was still holding the board in place. So I went down to my workshop, got a drill, and basically drilled the head of the screw off to get the board off. Okay, I'm back. I went down to the workshop, just drilled through the screw. Now it should lift out okay, because it's, yeah, there we go. And you can see the screw still remaining in that bit of plastic there. But the head's off and I can pull off the board now. Wow, that took a lot longer than I thought. Oh, we've got a bit of shielding on the bottom as well. Let's have a look at the bottom of that board. Oh, that's looking pretty nice. Yeah, I don't see there being any problems there with dirty contacts or anything. Same with the, let's have a look at the video out contacts. So they're the video out ones here. And they're looking clean. No kind of dry solder joints that I can see. And on this side it is a bit dirtier and corroded, but not terribly so. Alright, let's give it a clean. So then just gave it a clean with some isopropyl alcohol. I used this toothbrush Probably shouldn't really, because it could generate static and potentially cause some damage to the components there. So then I got myself an anti-static brush like this black one here and started using contact cleaner as well, WD-40 contact cleaner. So that's not WD-40. WD-40 is the brand, is the company, and the actual spray is called contact cleaner by WD-40. So it's a bit confusing, but I'm not using WD-40 here. I'm using the specialist contact cleaner and the brush just to try to clean things up a bit. All right, it's looking quite a lot cleaner there. We've got some corrosion still on that power jack, which I'll clean off now. But the board I'm pretty happy with. Now, we were getting power, so I don't think that corrosion's a problem, but I'll clean it up anyway. Okay, I think that's good enough. It's not perfectly clean, but it should be clean enough. I don't see anything obviously dirty there that's going to cause a problem. Well, the final thing I'll do is I'll just make sure that we're getting continuity between the ends of the lead and the right pins on the board. So I'm connecting up first the red. That's it, yep, that's right audio. The red pin is the right audio. Got continuity there. The white composite is the left audio. And you see them marked on the board, R and L. Yep, and that doesn't interfere with the right audio, just the left. Okay, so there's continuity there. And then we let's look at the video output there, and that is V on the board, and that's continuity there as well. So yep, and there's no shorts between the left and right audio. Okay, so there's nothing wrong with that cable, and of course there's nothing wrong with the connections from the board at that point. So I'm happy that that cable is working now, and it is going through to the board. Okay, here we go. Red light comes on, we're getting power, and nothing again. And I just want to mention that I did try other games that came with the console and got the same result. So I'm pretty confident the issue is with the N64 itself rather than the game or the TV. So I'm going to leave it there for now. I will return to this N64 in a future video. I'm just going to leave it there for now because the video is getting quite long. But what is the problem? What do you think the problem is? Is it the jumper pack, perhaps? Or maybe it's something to do with the cartridge slot. Perhaps I just haven't cleaned the board or the pins enough. Let me know in the comment section below as to what you think it is. Maybe you've experienced a similar problem in the past and have fixed it. Let me know in the comments below, and I'll try it out in my next video. Like I said, it could be a cartridge slot issue, it could be a lot of different things. But I don't want to carry on because this video is going to go a lot longer if I do, I think. But yeah. This is a right lemon. I got sold a right lemon. But I did manage to fix the power supply, which is a win. And this has turned out to be quite an interesting repair project. So I look forward to working on it again, which I will do in a future video. Yeah, I'm hopeful we can get this working again. Anyway, that's it for this video. Hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you for watching as always. And I hope to catch you in the next one.